Hello there. Welcome to assessment and welcome to March. My name is Kevin Yoakum, and I will be guiding you through this short 5-week assessment FQAS course. It's all in Blackboard. It's open week by week, so you'll be able to access week 1 this week. And then Sunday night into Monday, week 2 will open up, or unit 2 will open up, and so on. If you get behind, that's fine. The units stay open the entire 5 weeks. So I do recommend that you try to get everything done each week. There are probably between 3 and 5 checkoffs for you to do. So let's get right into it. This will be your landing page when you arrive in Blackboard. You don't see an announcement now. When you log in to watch this video, you will have an announcement. So be on the lookout for that. Then the next tab. Oh, and by the way, this is a very basic structure for Blackboard. I know we're leaving Blackboard here in a couple of, well, about a month or two. So about 2 months, I think by May. So um, some of these, so I'm not going to talk very much about Blackboard features. So hopefully at this point, you have a basic grasp on Blackboard. So I try to keep this particular Blackboard shell very basic. Anyway, instructor info, my name and office hours are there. You also can find the link to the course syllabus, which we'll go through in just a second. The course deliverables as well, and the course outcome summary, which is a pretty big deal. If you're not aware of what a course outcome summary is, you've come to the right place, because we need to go through what this is in order to understand fully what assessment is. So a little bit about my background. I've been with Gateway a little over 5 years. I'm in the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences division. I'm in the science department within that division. I generally teach anatomy and physiology to health students, as well as liberal arts students. I also teach nutrition and some general biology courses. I've been a college instructor since May of 2000, so going into year 24, or really, I guess, ending year 24 as we approach May. So I have a very large heart and appreciation for students and student success. And certainly, one of the main reasons students are going to be in your classes is to have a very clear picture of how they're going to be assessed. So that's where you come in, and you really want to make sure that on day one in your courses, when you're going through your syllabus, even before day one, as you're constructing your syllabus, you want to be thinking about assessment pretty much the entire time. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to get tricky. You don't need to get uh, cutesy or anything like that. You need to keep things very direct. You need to keep things very focused, and you need to stay on track with the course outcome summaries. So as we go through the next 5 weeks or so, 4 or 5 weeks, that's going to be one of our main focuses, is thinking about how you're going to assess students. Certainly, there are many, many ways to assess. So it's it's a pretty big area to get into, and it doesn't need to be intimidating by any means. And I also want you to know that you can be flexible. You can adapt over time. You can even adapt in real time. I've had situations even this semester with one of my courses where I had to tweak how I was assessing, and the instruments that I was using to assess. Um, I didn't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater per se, but I did need to make some adjustments. And so again, you have to be flexible and adaptable with your students, and you should always be doing your own form of self-assessment really throughout your teaching careers. So Anyhow, we'll get to it. The course syllabus, when you click that, these are generally the same or similar throughout Gateway. So you may recognize some of the organization. See these little pop-ups. There we go. So you may recognize some of the organization and from your own syllabi. So there is somewhat of a standardized template to these. So the start date is now the March 4th, and we end about a month later on April 5th. And again, it's set up to really be chunked into 4 to 5 units. We can potentially do a couple of them at the same time, but we're going to start with unit 1 and see where we are at the end of next week, or at the end of this week, and as we get into the next week, and open unit 2, and so on. So again, you can work at your own pace within the week. I would recommend, there are a few discussion boards, so I'd recommend doing those sooner than later. Really, time management is something you want to preach to your students to some degree. It's more a matter of prioritizing and fitting in those details in their lives and in your lives that are going to be that are going to make sense. And so if you're feeling stretched thin, sometimes you have to assess where you are and what maybe needs to be trimmed out a little bit. And really, it's not a matter so much of managing time, it's as much as it's a matter of prioritizing, and again, being flexible and adaptable, because sometimes we can be very priority conscious and time management conscious, maybe to an extreme. And when something occurs that maybe is unexpected or wasn't in our schedule, or that can really create anxiety. And again, we want to minimize anxiety, and at the same time, we don't want to diminish time management, nor do we want to be extreme with it. So there is a balance, and only you know really what that balance is. And I think, again, as adults and instructors, your goal is to really focus on prioritizing and taking care of what you need to take care of with your family, with your job, and certainly now with the occasional courses that you have to take from a student's perspective. So anyhow, these are what the syllabi look like generally. My name is there, strengths. I think all of you have probably done your strengths training. I'm learner, achiever, responsibility, consistency, and analytical. So again, this course is going to be looking at different ways of assessing. What is assessment for starters? What does it mean for you at Gateway? How do you look at and access different tools that we provide you with? And so we'll look at all of those. And again, nowadays with all of the virtual tools and virtual learning, it's really kind of endless. So anyway, you don't really need any resources for the course. I provide them to you. You do need a reliable internet connection, certainly. Let's see. So you can read through this. I'm not going to bore you to death. I'd like to keep this video short and sweet. So let me scroll down all the way to this course grading policy. Again, it's a pass-fail course. So again, I try to keep the checkoffs each week pretty minimal. You should spend maybe an hour or so at the most. And really, again, I don't want to limit you either. If you do have more time and you want to dive in, I certainly provide you with plenty of links and opportunities to spend as much time as you want digging deeper into the world of assessment. So I accept late work all the way to the 5th. So you can, if you do fall behind or something happens, I'm again very flexible with that. Course deliverables. This is something that you can potentially use in some of your own courses or all of your courses. From a student's perspective, I think they're very helpful with being able to view that kind of one-stop shop area of what I'm required to do. So the course deliverables checklist provides that. It gives a very direct and concise look into what checkoffs are going to be required for the student regarding being assessed. Because let's face it, students are really interested in certainly learning the material, of course, but they're really interested in getting to the end of that semester or the term and getting a good grade, whether it's an A or a B. Hopefully, they're striving for one or the other of those. But generally, how do I, as a student, attain a passing grade or even higher than that, an A? Most of our students at Gateway, they really strive for A's. And so they want to know what that A range is on day one. So in your syllabus, you'll have your grade range 90 to 100 is an A, and 80 to 89 is a B. Your total points breakdown. I do most of my classes. I try to keep them at 1,000 points. It makes grading very straightforward, and it makes understanding percentages very straightforward as well. When a student knows that they have to aim for 1,000 points over a 12 or 14 or 16 week, or even some of our courses are 5 to 7 weeks. So over the course of a term, they need to attain 1,000 points. And to get an A or earn an A, they need to get 900 points and so on. So out of 1,000 makes things very clear, very concise. Some instructors do it out of 500. Some do it out of 1,200. A couple of my courses have 12 competencies, and we'll talk about what a competency is later on. But and it just so happens that our semesters are, around 12 to 14 weeks, and so that 12 competencies, I break my course up into 12 100 points. I give them 100 points per competency, and they have 4 checkoffs for each one of those. So, I mean, anyway, there are a lot of ways to have that course total. So as you're designing your course, you want to keep that in mind, how you're going to assess and what your maximum point value is. Try to keep it at zeros at the end. Keep them in the hundreds, so double zeros. So anyway, a course deliverables checklist again is a very good way of helping your students to see when assignments are due and what assignments are due. So this week by March 10th at 11:59 p.m. Central, you're going to need to have 4 checkoffs completed. So so anyway, if you like the course deliverables checklist, again, I also, I don't have it in here, but I also oftentimes will put a link to the course deliverables out over here in Blackboard. So then that way they don't have to go in here. They can click it and see, all right, what am I supposed to do this week? Da, 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 da. All right. And then they start to figure out, how am I going to manage my time to get these 4 items done? So if you want to make your own kind of copy, you can just come into File, click Make a Copy, and then you can alter this however you want to. Let's see, course outcome summary. Let's talk about that for a few minutes, and we'll talk about how you can access a course outcome summary for any of your courses. But this is generally where the foundation of assessment is going to come from. So these are put forth by the Wisconsin State Technical College System and Department for Education. And so these are consistent and can be found in a database that's held by the state of Wisconsin. So we'll look at that later on. But this is what's agreed on by the state and by groups of instructors from across the state who teach these courses, who get together maybe annually, maybe every 4 years, or maybe just as needed to determine maybe what types of objectives need to be added or subtracted, what competencies need to be added or subtracted, that type of thing. So this is basically how you are going to kind of build or construct your course, and certainly what you're going to be assessing your students on. So the course competencies are in the course outcome summary. So FQAS assessment is our course. This is the course outcome summary for this particular course. It was developed in July 2021, or this particular set of course outcome summary competencies was developed in July of 2021. Um, let's see. I took FQA's assessment years ago. Um, I don't even know how. It's been a while, 10 years ago, probably. Before I was at Gateway, I was at Blackhawk in Janesville and Beloit area. And that's where I did my FQAS course. Uh, so it's been around longer than 2021, but this particular incarnation is about 3 years old. So anyhow, as you go down or scroll down, you see the course competencies are numbered. We have for this particular course, 1, 2, 3, 4. That works out perfectly. We're together for about 4 to 5 weeks. So this is roughly a competency per week. Some of you may notice when you're looking at your course competencies for the courses you teach that there may be 15 or 20. I know one of the courses in our department, I think, has 28 competencies. So anyway, that doesn't mean you need 28 weeks to complete that course. It just means you will be able to assess students' knowledge within multiple competencies in multiple different ways within a week per se, or within a specific unit. So but anyway, it does work out nicely when you do have competency matching up with number of weeks in a course. It makes course construction very nice. So anyway, this is what a course competency looks like. Course competency 1 for our assessment course says we're going to use performance-based curriculum to guide learning and assessment. So we'll look at what is performance-based curriculum. I think the name itself pretty much tells us what it is. But then we see there are some criteria that go with that. Your performance as a student will be successful when you can incorporate the performance-based learning model, align course outcome summary, document learning strategies and assessment with your plan, integrate core abilities, etc. So you can read those and look at those. Again, this is really just trying to get you exposed to what a course outcome summary is, and then ultimately how you're going to construct your course. So when we constructed our assessment course with Gateway, we looked at this course outcome summary, which again is consistent throughout the entire state of Wisconsin. And we determined, okay, what types of activities, what types of means of assessing are we going to do to evaluate our students' ability to grasp these topics. So these are the criteria of performance. And then the learning objectives, we need you to define curriculum, define assessment, identify the characteristics of performance-based learning, and finally relate course to occupational programs and larger programs of study. So this is where you're going to dive in a little deeper to your own experiences in the past, as well as at Gateway now, and looking ahead to the future regarding what types of assessments are going to be required that are going to relate or align with your different course competencies. So anyway, that is what a course outcome summary looks like. Here's another link to college policies. I'm not going to click that. You can certainly do that on your own. So let's get into some of the basics of this course. If you click the Start Here tab in Blackboard, you'll see where are you, and scroll down, you'll get some how-to resources. So as you go, and again, I don't want to belabor this too much. I want this to be your experience as well, but I do want to explain briefly what some of these links are. Now, the navigation template, this is something, again, you don't have to include in your courses for what's going to be Bright Space or Desire to Learn soon. But for this, we have the Blackboard navigation table. I don't include these with my courses. I probably will as we get into Bright Space since we're moving ahead. But this basically tells your students students what each of the buttons are in Blackboard. So as you go back into Blackboard and you see the buttons, the idea would be to have a navigation table that has each of these different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 items. They go over here and they say, okay, Zoom room, Zoom room. What is that? What's a description of that? Announcements, syllabus instructor. So you get the idea. It gives students a little bit of a way to kind of see what exactly each of these buttons do. So this comes in handy, especially with an asynchronous, fully web-based internet course where you don't have a lot of contact with your students except in videos or through emails. So this is something that you definitely want to include, I would say, in a fully online course. And maybe just talk about it the first day of class. And again, because all of your documents should ideally be in Google Docs or Google Sheets, you can share your document, get a web link for this document, make it available for those with the link, and then you can create a link in Brightspace. It'll ultimately be for access to that navigation table. But again, that's optional, but definitely recommended highly when you have a fully web-based course. So what tools do you need? Oh, and by the way, this particular setup is again, it's very basic, but it's something that you probably minimally want to use when you have your course. And once you get to Brightspace, it's not much different. It's a little slicker, it's a little newer looking, but you still are going to probably have a start here for all of your courses, and then just basic kind of the basic outline of what kinds of questions your students might have at the beginning. So the navigation template, what tools they need. So for this class, you don't need any tools, just the reliable internet connection and a computer is recommended. Now, if if you're teaching a course that has textbooks, or maybe you have e-text, maybe use OERs or open education or affordable education resources that have links, you could include all of the textbook information right here as well. That information is also in your syllabus, but I would definitely put it in the start here. Put your email in here as well. Start here. Again, that's kind of the basic jumping off point. And it's also a spot too that students can go back to later if they run into some problems and they can't remember something, they might be able to find it, in that start here area. So here's the course outcome summary again. We just looked at that. Some resources with online coursework. We have the little icons for activating Read Speaker. You can see over on the side, there's a little arrow. If you click that, it'll pull out a little toolbar that'll enable you to have your Blackboard or your Brightspace read to you. Technologies in the course have some hyperlinks here. We use something called Padlet, Google Form, Perusall, which is an OER platform. Again, these are free text resources. Flipgrid, and then Wakelet, Mote, and Grammarly are other items tools that you may want to use for assessing or evaluating your students. So anyway, we'll talk about formative and summative assessment and evaluation as we go to. So these are, again, tools that I like to use. Definitely want to have your students uploading Grammarly as gateway students. They have free accounts to all of this. So they definitely want to take advantage of all of the different tools that are available. Submitting assignments, you will do a few Blackboard submissions. So if you've never done any Blackboard submissions, this tells you how to do a discussion board submission, and then this tells you how to do an assignment submission. So it's very straightforward. Assignment submission checklist. So you can, there's a little video here that Bridget Bell put together for you. And again, Grammarly, a link on what that is. Grammarly is just basically a real-time spell checker and grammar checker as you're writing or typing, I should say, or as your students are. Now, some have asked about AI being involved with plagiarizing. Now, again, Grammarly is more or less like a spell checker, so I don't think you're going to get dinged for plagiarism if Grammarly is telling you that they recommend using THEY apostrophe RE as opposed to THEIR or something like that. So I don't think we need to worry too much about Grammarly being a problem. Now, I did read something, of course, online that a student, I want to say Kentucky or Tennessee, Virginia, somewhere down there in the Cumberlands area, I think was dinged or given an F or whatever for because she was claiming Grammarly did it. So, but I don't know. So anyway, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I highly recommend Grammarly. So let's get out of the start here and get right into Unit 1. This is where you're going to find your Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders. So right now you just have access to the Unit 1 folder. So let's go ahead and take a peek in there. Every time you open a folder, you're going to see these four learning patterns: engage, comprehend, practice, and apply. So I'll talk a little bit about those in a few minutes, what that means. You've maybe heard that before. Hopefully, if you haven't already, you'll sign up and you'll take the CILE, Creating an Interactive Learning Environment course that with Meg Hunter that Gateway offers. It's excellent. And it certainly now is a great time to take it because we are shifting into using Brightspace. So you may want to look into registering for CILE if you haven't already. So I'm not going to belabor some of this. You may already know it. So why are you doing this? Well, learning about curriculum and assessment certainly is going to help you grow your teaching practice, grow your trade. These are the tools of your trade are vast and expansive, and so when it comes down to assessing your students, we want to be creative. We also want to be very focused and direct as well. So we don't want to be feel like we're confined to pen and paper anymore, nor do we want to provide so many different ways of doing things and finding the answer that we really kind of lose track of everybody. So so anyway, finding that middle ground and that medium and that happy place when it comes to assessment and creating an experience that checks off all of those objectives that we find in our course outcome summaries under the competencies, while again providing an engaging and really applicable experience, because all of our students at Gateway are really here because they're trying to learn to apply their knowledge in the field that they're going into. So when you're creating your different tools of assessment for your students, think about what their viewpoint is. Think about where they're going and what their goals and intentions are, and talk to them, communicate with them. Even in a fully online course, you have surveys, you have Google Forms, you have discussion boards, you have Padlet boards, wiki boards. You have a lot of different ways to communicate with your students and create what we call a parasocial relationship with them, where you're basically just in this kind of Ethernet or virtual world where it's important to not leave anybody hanging and to provide them with direction, but also to give them multiple ways of finding the answers or of meeting objectives. So again, we know that there are many different learning styles and that all of our students are coming into this with from a different frame and different, looking at everything through different lenses. So it is important again to be flexible and adaptable and to modify as needed, and to really put your ego aside and to really focus on what's already provided for you, and that's the course outcome summaries and the list of objectives to meet, and then how you meet them and how you get that. Well, not how you meet them. You've already met them. Hopefully, you already know how to do all those lists, but how you encourage and engage your students to meet those objectives. That's really what the name of the game with assessment is, because again, we want to be varied with our assessment. We don't want your entire course is based on a final exam. That's not generally the way we want to assess. But depending on the type of course, if you're building and building and building to a final kind of project in a CNC course, or whatever type of a culinary course or something like that, I mean, it might make sense to have a majority of the percentage of the grade be related to that kind of final project. So again, I think really also kind of putting it into your student's head that making the grade is not really the intentions of why they're taking the course, because all of our students, again, are going into some sort of profession. They're supposed to be embracing the work that you provide them with, and the assessments that you're doing, ideally are going to be very much palatable for the students, because they relate to being able to be applied to what they're doing in the workforce. So anyway, think about that too as you're going. You can make your lives really just full of just having a lot of other things to concern yourself with than whether or not I'm not doing enough or doing too much for my students. You can really just provide them kind of, with an array of options that fit within meeting these objectives, and keeping the assessment aspects to where you can have a lot of auto grading with your online exams and quizzes. You can have a lot of different ways of assessing that are going to provide you with hopefully less stress, less anxiety, and more time to spend with your families. So speaking of which, I'm going to keep moving. So that's why you're doing this. That's why you're taking assessment, to really grow and to do a lot of your own kind of self-reflection and think about where you're going forward. So engage, the first section in our learning cycle, gets into reflective practice. So watch this video. It's short. It's I don't know, it's 5 to 10 minutes long at the most, and it gets into again just that constant, or not constant, that sounds kind of obsessive, but maybe just this continual reflection and self-awareness check-in, to really kind of ensure that, first of all, you're not doing too much, and to the point of pulling your hair out, losing your hair, stressing, going gray, and just generally having the sweats all the time, or the other way around, where you're just completely checked out and you have no finger on the pulse. You don't even know what a pulse is, and who cares if the students are even checking in the Blackboard or logging into Brightspace or any of that. So again, reflective practice. It should be an ongoing process, not just with teaching in your job, but really life in general. So you're going to do a little Padlet that gets into reflective teaching, or reflecting on teaching. So watch that video, and then you can go to the Padlet. Well, first of all, if you click this, you're going to be taken to an assignment drop box. Once you've completed the Padlet, you can hit either hit create submission, and then just type the word done in there, and then hit submit. So how do you get to the Padlet? So here's what the Padlet looks like. Again, you can answer any. I'd like you to answer, put a comment under each one of these. But again, it's your experience. I'm certainly not here to micromanage any of you. And I think if you are really into the experience and get what you need out of it, then you'll again, do what's best for you and what fits into your time. So there, having said that, if you, there's no, you can write one sentence under each one, you can write 30 sentences under each one, but just know that other folks, your peers, and not just this semester, but in future semesters, may be reading some of your comments. So make them thoughtful and make them clear and try to keep them concise. So what does teaching mean to you? How did you get into this? And why do you do it? How do you continuously improve? What do you do the faculty development because you have to, and you log into Red Hawk Tech and you click a couple things and you just want to get them done so Red Hawk Tech looks good. I mean that's fine too. That's certainly because even if you go that route, you're still going to get something out of it. So try to be transparent, be honest with yourself and be honest with others, and see where it takes you. What was a time that you failed as a teacher? And what did you learn from this experience? Like I say, failure is subjective. If you self-reflect and you may feel like you failed just last week, and so how did you adjust to that? So it could be a micro failure, I don't know, failure sounds so heavy and intense. Maybe a learning opportunity. When was a time when a learning opportunity arose that you really had to grow from? So anyway, the semantics we could spin around all day on, but you get the point. What do you love about teaching? So again, kind of, what are some of the, again, I think most of us say the same thing, and I've read these and I've taught continuing ed and faculty development courses for years, and been in conferences as a from your perspective as well as from the leadership perspective, and I know that for the most part the obvious is we love teaching because we love to see students learn, we love to see people, we love to share information and to see the growth occur with our students, and I think that's kind of rhetorical at this point. It kind of goes without saying that's I would hope that that's really the ultimate of why you're here and why you love teaching, is because you love learning and you love to see your students learn, and you love to share. So go outside the box, maybe a little bit with that one, if you'd like. Again, there's no restrictions on these. You do it how you want, and then also add in some of your challenges. What challenges do you face? This is a good one. This is where most faculty really kind of let it all out about what are some challenges. Just being clear with each other, and as part of your self-reflection and that. So reflective practice, that's your first Padlet. Again, try to go through and answer each one of those 5. And once you have completed those, go in and hit done and then hit submit. And then you'll be good to go with that particular assignment. So when we go back to our course deliverables, there it is. Reflecting on teaching Padlet. So now we've done that. That one's done. So assessment entrance ticket is next. So let's cruise down and see where that takes us. Okay, before we get there, again, this is where we just ended at the reflective teaching Padlet. And then here's that learning cycle. I thought I'd throw that in. There's a link to that you can read a little bit more, but it talks about the setup of engage, comprehend, practice, apply. I like it. I learned about it probably about 4 years ago. I've done different variations of this particular cycle, but this one I really like. I think the students, again, you got to remember that a lot of this pedagogy and this teacher and the jargon that we go through is it's your knowledge and what you do with it and how you present it. the students, they just want to know, what do I have to do to get my grade and to move on? So, you don't have to get, like I said earlier at the very beginning of the video, you don't have to get cute, you don't have to get fancy, you don't have to get crazy with, all of the pedagogy terminology and what's Bloom's taxonomy and what is engaging and are you comprehend, just you keep it simple and keep it straightforward, and you have 4 items. And so generally what I do is I create a deliverable, which also means a gradable. So you could also, your deliverables list could be the gradables list too. And I try to give one gradable or deliverable for each of these every single unit. So if I have 10 units, I have 40 checkoffs for the whole semester, for instance. Again, it's just a recommendation. It's certainly not meant to be you should do this and you need to do this. That's not the approach we take. So anyway, engage is where you basically kind of wet the whistle and you get them going. I usually do a Padlet for an engage, something very basic to get them kind of thinking about what's going on with this particular unit. So again, we're building each of our units based on the competencies and learning objectives. So this, for instance, could be competency 1. One of the learning objectives has to do with reflecting and thinking about teaching. So that's what we do for that. And that objective is checked off. And then we keep moving and going through our first competency. So again, we're looking at defining curriculum, assessment, characteristics of performance-based learning, and then we'll get into occupational categories at Gateway. So these are, again, more Bloom's taxonomy information, more pedagogy info. You can watch this video. It's not required, but it'll talk to you about how do we come up with some of these terms for assessment. So we're looking at, again, the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy: produce new or original work, justify a standard decision, all the way down to just basic recall of facts. All right, so that's the engage section. So comprehend this information, it gets into digesting the material a little bit more. We're diving a little bit deeper. So this is where we're going to look again. We go back over here, define curriculum, define assessment. Come over here, you can click curriculum definition. It'll take you out to a link and a little article that's going to give you from the State of Rhode Island Department of Ed. Gives a very nice, clear, concise definition of what curriculum is and what the goals are. So read through that. Performance-based learning article. How does it work? What is performance-based learning? So again, very clear, very concise, and direct on what performance-based learning is. Faculty Focus is a great website, so you can bookmark that as well, potentially for other uses outside of this course. Examples of different assessments: a short response writing across curriculum, assessing assessment. So assessing how you assess. Okay, so again, very, very good articles. So read through those. And then I put the link for WIDS in here. This is where you're going to find your course outcome summary. So you'll need your Gateway username and your password. And then you can also access WIDS from the main page. If you go to gtc.edu, this holds true for everything. Well, if you go to faculty staff, WIDS will be across the top. But you can also always click on the little magnifier and you can search for WIDS within the Gateway website. So, but anyway, here's where we are at WIDS. This is the front page now. We want to go to the Wisconsin Technical College System repository. This is where you're going to find all of your syllabi and course outcome summaries. Okay, so again, you want to click WTCS repository. It'll take you to something that looks like this. Now from here, you can type in your course title. I'll just hit biology. So I teach several biology classes, so we can see there's a list of the different biologies. So let's look, we'll go to principles of animal biology. So if I click that one, there we go. It's going to come up with a page that looks like this. So when you find the course you want to look at, And again, this is part of your assignment coming up, so this is why we're talking about it. There's a quick prints button there that says course outcome summary. So that's where you're going to find your course outcome summary for whatever course you want to analyze for this particular unit. So again, as we go back to our number one, letter D objective, relate course occupational programs to larger course of study. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing here as you look at your own program that you teach in and the different courses. I want you to hone in on one course and find the course outcome summary. You may already know how to do this. So if you do, I apologize for redundancy, but some of you maybe have no idea what I'm talking about. So this is a good way to figure out how to find your course outcome summary, because again, as you design your courses, as you figure out how you're going to assess students, the idea is you're going after these specific competencies and the objectives within the competencies. Okay. So you could see these are the objectives that we need to be taking care of for this particular competency. All right. So again, I don't go back. Here we go. The beauty of videoing too is you can rewind. So I'm not going to go back and keep showing you how to do it. You can just rewind and it'll show you how to do that. So that's how you access WIDs. Rubrics, I threw this in. This is again Bridget Bell, one of our communications instructors. She put a little kind of a teaser trailer on what rubrics are. So we spent a lot of time on that later in our time together. So assessment entrance ticket. So we go back over to our FQAS deliverables, and now we're at the assessment entrance ticket. So let me close out of some of these. There we go. So surveys are a great way to connect and engage with your students throughout the semester. They could be low stakes, so minimum points or minimal points, or even extra credit. You can choose not to make them worth any points at all, but they do get extra credit. Students generally will always do extra credit, and most of the time they'll do the regular credit. So either way, I use Google Forms for my surveys. Students enjoy Google Forms. It's very slick. I upload pictures and into there as options, and it's very, very user friendly, and you can create and do a lot with the different templates in Google Forms. You can also compile data that way. You can really see, if you're asking questions about their experience, or, again, these are surveys, these are forms for kind of assessing your own connection with the students and the material, and maybe kind of they're experiencing what they are experiencing, maybe with the textbook, or maybe with a certain case study that you're doing. Whatever it might be, surveys are a good way to check in. Or you can just use as a check-in, kind of like a quarterly check-in. Hey, how on a scale of 1 to 5, strong, like a Likert scale, strongly disagree all the way up to strongly agree. You can create something like that. So anyway, I've got a short entrance ticket here, assessment entrance ticket after looking at the resources. So you just looked at all these resources. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, we just read through some of these. Hopefully you looked at all of them. I want you to answer the following questions. Okay? Check out the concepts you're interested in learning more about. So you learned a little bit about some of those, but maybe you're going to click all of them. I don't know. Maybe you'll click none of them. I don't know. Maybe you know everything you need to know and you're good. Hey, what's your experience with assessment? Up to this point, what do you know about it? And then just make some comments. What do you think about some of the stuff you read? So again, I want to keep it brief, and I don't want it's low stakes, and I don't want you to feel like you need to spend all of your time and energy trying to appease me and checking off a bunch of boxes. That's not what we're here for. So again, I give you a ton of stuff, and how much time you spend doing it, totally up to you. But once you do this, click this mark reviewed button. And once you do the survey, then I know I can go in and I can go into Blackboard, and I can see once all of you once on my end, I see Mark reviewed for everybody, then I can go in and look at the surveys and collect the data, as opposed to just checking Google Forms just randomly and seeing, how many people have filled it out. I keep them so they're anonymous. So I mean, you can put your name, in here if you'd like, but you don't have to claim any of that. It's all anonymous. All right, next up, we're getting into the practice, engage, comprehend, now practice. This is where you attempt and try some techniques maybe that you learned in engage and comprehend. So program effectiveness, we looked at this course outcome summaries. You can look through this slide deck. I'll open it up, or not the slide deck, but this is a nice little wiki board or a blog spot on program effectiveness. It's a how-to for WIDS, which I just went through with you. It has a couple of other things in there as well. So if you want to look up and get into what makes our programs effective and how you can help with that, that's the one way to do that. And then we also have some Google slides here that you can look through when it comes to, again, creating that standardized kind of assessment within your syllabus, using that course outcome summary. It talks about how to access it, which again, we already went through. So you are going to do, let's see, discussion board is next. Okay, so again, Padlet, the Google Forms ticket, and now we're moving on to the discussion board. So you're going to pick one of the competencies in the courses that you teach. So find the course outcome summary of a course that you teach. Again, you can rewind the video, but you want to go into WIDS and you want to find the WTCS repository, and then you just click or type in the search bar in the WTCS repository, the course you're looking for, and boom, it'll pop up, click it. And then you want to go off to the side over here where it says quick prints. And that's where you'll find the course outcome summary. And you can print this or download it as a Word doc or PDF. But once you do that, you want to pick one competency, okay? One of these course competencies. Okay, how do you apply this activity or competency to your classroom? So you're basically going to talk a little bit about, it says create or refurbish an assignment to fit the competency. I'm assuming all of you have been teaching at least for a little bit now, or even for 7 weeks, if this is your first semester ever of teaching. But basically, I want you to just share one of your assessment checkoffs that you do with your students and how it aligns with your course competencies. So compare body organization among various classes of animals. So an assignment that, and it might be a couple of assignments. Maybe I do a Padlet to engage the students on animal classification and taxonomy. And then I have a little virtual kind of a virtual lab, or a couple of videos for them to watch, a couple of articles for them to read, maybe a little case study for them to analyze, and then talk a little bit about maybe have a little journal, a reflection journal, and then maybe a little 10-question quiz. So anyway, there so many ways to assess. So I want you to tell me, well, not me, I want you to share with your classmates and your peers what it is that you do for a specific course, a specific competency, and a specific assignment or set of assignments that you use to assess their abilities to understand that competency. All right, and so how do you do a discussion board? You just click that open, and it's going to look like this, kind of blank. So you're going to hit create a thread, and you can put your name in the subject line or something fancy. Make sure you put your name and then something else if you want. You put your name and then course competencies, whatever you want. All right, so that's the discussion board. And then, I have it so you should reply to at least one peer. I know, students, discussion boards are kind of a mixed bag when it comes to students replying and giving me feedback. Again, when I not just at the end of a semester when evaluations and students can do them or not do them. I also, like I say, I like to put a Google form out throughout the semester to check in with students. And if I am doing discussion boards, I definitely want to know what the feedback is on the discussion board experience because I could potentially make it better for them. I could eliminate them. I could, not the student, the discussion board. So anyway, they're students generally, it's kind of hot and cold with discussion boards. So again, if you can't stand them and they're a pain in the butt and you don't like them, well, I just ask you to put the negativity and and just think about it as not a discussion board. Think about this as an assignment, a document of what. Think about it as just a document of what of pick an assignment that you do in class or a set of assignments that check off a specific competency and objectives within that competency of a course that you teach. So that's all it is. I prefer that you don't type into a couple of things I recommend with discussion boards. I would definitely recommend typing your original post into a Google Doc or a Word doc first, because then it'll auto save. If you just start typing right in the discussion board and Blackboard glitches out on you, you're going to lose all of that, what you just typed. Now, having said that, if you're typing into a notepad or a Google Doc or a Word doc, do not upload that as your comment. Copy and paste into the comment thread. I don't want students, your peers, to have to click away from the discussion board to read what you wrote. So I have no problem with you typing into a Word doc, but please do not put the link to the doc as your discussion board post. I want you to have the entire whatever it is you're writing that to be your post. So if when I go in and read through, if I notice that you've just put a link to a Google Doc or a PDF, then I'm going to probably have to send you an email and say, please, either that or I'll just copy and paste it for you and just move on with life and not worry about it. But please don't do that. Please allow your students and your peers to be able to see and encourage this out of your students too. This is the one dig that students give other students for feedback on discussion boards is students cannot stand when another student just puts a link to a Google Doc as their original post, because then we have to click out, it takes me somewhere else. And no, the discussion board, it's like reading comments in a thread of an article. So when I go into YouTube and I'm reading comments on a video, I don't want to have to click out and read somebody's comments in another on a Word document. So please don't do that. And please reply to at least one peer. It's nice when you reply to more, but it is required at the very least for full credit that you reply to at least one peer. All right, so let's see. We're almost there. And then the last thing you need to do this week probably seems like a lot. I hope it's not. I've probably talked more in this video than the amount of time you'll spend doing what you need to do. The last thing you'll do is the reflection journal. So again, a good way of communicating is certainly through typing and writing. In a lot of online courses, students may find that writing is not really necessary. So, and that's fine. I mean, it's a lot of nursing students, they're not really into typing and writing. But I think having a little reflection journal, maybe not every week, maybe quarterly. So within a semester quarterly. So every like say 3 to 4 weeks, you could have a little reflection journal, maybe at the end of a module or something. But anyway, reflection journal. They can be low stakes, extra credit. They can be high stakes. I've had courses where I have the journals as 50% of their grade because it's so important that what they're journaling about and what they're doing is is reflection. So if a whole course is basically centered on reflecting and applying and moving forward, then journaling could be a huge part of the grade. Within a journal, students can put links to videos, they can put links to websites. So anyway, you decide what you want to do. I give you a couple of options for this week's journal. Um, you know, what have you learned so far this week? Expectations moving forward, anything you feel like expressing, whatever you want. I'm the only one who sees it. That's the other thing you want to, if you do use journals in your courses, you want to definitely express to your students and emphasize that privacy is there and that only you as the instructor see what they're writing. So it's totally confidential. Journal entries ideally are going to be 1 to 3 paragraphs and 3 to 5 sentences per paragraph. So you could have a journal entry that's 1 paragraph, 3 sentences, and that's it. And that's fine. That's fine with me. You can say a lot and it's your experience, right? That's what I tell my students. It's your experience, how much you put into it. If you want to, you could have a 3 paragraph, 5 sentences. So you could have up to 15 sentences. So basically anywhere between 3 and 15 sentences is a good journal entry. And then that's it for week one. We don't do anything for apply this week. Generally, early in a course, especially a long course, if I have an apply item, this might be where I'd put the journal. So, I could bump the journal down under the apply, and now I've got my 4 things, and that works out too. Oftentimes, apply is going to be some sort of like an exam. So this is usually where I put exams or quizzes. So anyway, that's it for this week. And if you have questions, by all means, please email me. There are other resources too that you can access over here. But for now, just jump right in and get going on Unit 1. And like I say, if you have any questions, please email me, and I'll get back to you very quickly. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week.